Life, Strength, and Health Podcast, Episode 4. Welcome, everyone. This is Life, Strength, and Health Podcast with Jamal and Kim, where each and every week we educate, empower, and inspire you to live healthier. So let's dive into the show. Hi, Kim and Jamal here, and welcome to another episode of Life, Strength, and Health Podcast. In this episode, we will be recapping Episode 3, which was our podcast interview with Yirser Ra Hotep. And that podcast interview was all about, well, it wasn't all about, but it was featuring Kemetic Yoga. But there was so many powerful tips, nuggets, life-changing information that Yirser shared with us in our community. And we're going to dive into that, shared some insights, some takeaways, and other things that we found insightful about the interview.
Right. Greetings, everyone. Good to be back for the show to just recap on some key things that we spoke about with Yirser. Sometimes, we cover so much. That's why we, highly recommend for you to go back and listen to the different shows more than one time, a couple of times, and use them as points of reference because, we quickly go over things sometimes, and we just want to make sure that you're getting the full value out of the different shows. It was a lot of takeaways for me. A lot of things really stood out for me. And one of the major things that stood out for me was just what yoga is really supposed to be about. And just the whole aspect of, realizing your highest self and living into your fullest potential. That takes the concept of yoga to a whole nother level, because a lot of times when we think about yoga, we just think about the stretching aspect of it. Mm-hmm. We don't look at it from a holistic perspective. But it's really very holistic, and it's just, it's commercialized. It really is commercialized. And, at a lot of different gyms and things like that, they have the fitness element of yoga, which is, it's a good thing. It's a good thing if you're doing any type of yoga. But to be able to practice yoga in its full essence, you're just going to get so much more out of it. So, that was huge for me. What was a big takeaway for you, Kim?
Well, one of the things, takeaways, or I guess you say memorable moments for me, I always have to laugh at something, but the comment that he made about when he said his first recollection or thought when you think of yoga, you think of like skinny people wearing diapers. I mean, that was just hilarious. But when you think of that statement, like how many people think of yoga, maybe not in that much extreme, mm-hmm. but you close yourself off from such a powerful vessel, such a healing vessel, because of your own ignorance, or you just don't know too much about it. So my takeaway from that is just always keep an open mind, explore, and just see what it's all about. But you can take yourself out of the game by having thoughts like that or not keeping an open mind and exploring. So,
yeah, I agree. And, another thing that was huge, and it kind of goes with what you're saying about being open, is that yoga it's becoming more popular in the Black community, mm-hmm. but it's still a whole lot of Black people that don't do yoga, have never attempted to do yoga or mm-hmm. thought about doing yoga. They just know what it is, but it's something that is in other neighborhoods, mm-hmm. and it's still not very popular in our community. So for Yirser to just talk about how, yoga was in Africa, dated on the walls 6,000 years ago. You saw postures and, certain connections and benefits just predating so many other cultural expressions of yoga is huge. Mm-hmm. It's huge because, that's something that our ancestors were practicing and they were benefiting from, and we're not taking advantage of it, and we're not doing. So I thought it was huge to bring that up and to make that point, because this is culturally something that we've always practiced, and it's a part of us. It's a part of us to embrace. And just because of our experience here in America and throughout the world, just the things that we've dealt with as a people overall, just dealing with racism and just related things in that nature. There's some serious emotional and psychological trauma and damage that has been done to us. And there's just healing. There's healing that needs to be done for us. And yoga is just a really good way to just help us to work through just a lot of these things that we're dealing with, a lot of these emotional stressors that we're holding on to that is actually just causing weakness within the body. This is huge for us. And not just looking at it from that perspective, just some of the things that he was just talking about, just actualizing your fullest potential in every aspect of your life.
Right.
Yoga being able to improve that. Like could you, that's a question that I put out to the listeners. Like, could you use some bettering in every aspect of your life? Like who doesn't?
Right.
So the question is, like, why aren't you doing yoga? If there is any aspect of your life that you want to improve on, why aren't you doing yoga to help you to improve that? I mean, a lot of us didn't think about it like that or didn't realize it, but it's so much deeper than stretching. He made it a point to say it's so much deeper than stretching. It's so much deeper than the physical aspects. We're talking about, healing, healing mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. This is a huge tool right here that everyone should be doing.
Yeah, definitely. And, another takeaway from the episode was when Yirser was saying that it's not about doing the complex postures, because a lot of times you see yoga videos on like TV, or you go to a class and people are doing these complex postures, and it could be intimidating, but the true power is in the basic movements and mastering that and connecting it with the breath and understanding how to do that.
Right.
So I think that's another thing people have to understand. Yirser mentioned when he first went to the class, he could barely touch his toes and he could do one other posture. So, you have to start where you're at and you just keep growing. And the more that you are able to do some of the postures, the more blockages that you're going to start to release. And, as Jamal mentioned, when you start to remove those energetic blockages, it's going to show in your life, because, any imbalance, it starts on the emotional level before it physically appears. So, I just think this is such a great healing tool that, you can practice it in your home. You don't have to go to a yoga class and pay, if that's not in your budget. It's something that can be accessible, something that could be done in the morning when you wake up or when you go to bed or in the afternoon. It doesn't have to be so complex and difficult to do.
Yeah, and just kind of speaking about blockages, sometimes you could have blockages within your body, whether it's mentally, physically, emotionally. You can have blockages internally, and that could be causing blockages in your life externally. So a lot of times when people remove blockages within, they notice that some barriers are actually removed externally, and they have breakthroughs, and they're able to step into new chapters or, their next level of their life. So, we're talking about a tool of healing on so many different levels. And, it is something that was practiced by Black people thousands upon thousands of years ago, but it's not, it's not just exclusive to Black people. I mean, everyone can get benefit from Kemetic Yoga. It's definitely not a Black thing, but I think that it's important that Yirser brought, these things up because, we're always so marginalized and, a lot of times we're written out of history and, it's almost made to seem like we had no contributions to all of these great things within, civilization. So I thought that it was important that he brought that up because, here we are, one of the founders, if not the founder so far as studies are concerned, the founding, forefathers of yoga, yet and still most of us aren't doing it. So I thought that was a really necessary point that that he brought up. And he's not saying that, it's the only yoga that you should do. Any yoga is good.
Right. He said any yoga is better than no yoga.
Any yoga is good because, Kemetic Yoga, it's growing. It's definitely, the movement is growing, but you still, probably won't find it at your local gym.
Right.
Probably won't find it. You probably have to go out of your way to seek a Kemetic Yoga instructor. I would. I definitely would because I think it's powerful. But at the same time, he just exposed just the importance of yoga altogether. So if you can find a complete yoga that is allowing you to connect in all of those different ways, you're going to get some benefit from it.
Yeah. And one other thing I wanted to touch on was, we always come back to the food part because you just can't get away with it.
Yeah.
Get away from it, I should say. But the connection between the foods that you put into your body and your overall health. And, it was, Yirser mentioned about eating a plant-based diet, eating foods that were going to feed and nourish the body. So we can never get away from that because you could do all the yoga in the world, but if you're not feeding your body foods that's going to nourish your body, your cells, you're working against yourself. So, you always want to keep that in the forefront of your mind.
Yeah. I think I mentioned this in the show, but one of the things that I noticed for me, the better I eat and the better I ate in the past, the deeper I was able to go in my yoga practice, the deeper I was able to go in my meditation. The better my diet is, the lighter my diet is.
Same thing when you fast.
Yeah, exactly. I just feel more connected to the divine energy. So I think that the diet is huge, and you just notice how when you're doing yoga and it's raising your thought process and just really connecting you, just that want to eat better foods and to do better. Because, Yirser was talking about how 40 years ago he went on this path. I mean, just 15 years ago when, I started out on my path of eating plant-based, there was nothing out there for me to eat. I was lucky if I found a veggie burger, but I can say that there were, some at least books, at least some books out there. You can get a book and you could, make some recipes on your own. I could only imagine 40 years ago, it was.
He said he was a fruitarian.
Yeah, because he didn't know what to eat. Yeah. So, I mean, I could only imagine we didn't have the internet, so you couldn't just jump on. You're not going to just flip through the yellow pages and see, vegan this or vegan that. Like, and no one was talking about it commercially. The world wasn't as connected as it is now. But still, in spite of all of that, he still had this desire based off of his practice and just, him growing. He just had this desire, even if he was by himself, he had this desire to want to do better for his body, to treat it better, to eat better overall. So that just shows you just, how when you raise your vibration and you kind of step into your highest reality, that you don't want to pollute yourself. You don't want to pollute yourself, and you want to put better foods in your body. You just want to do better overall.
Yeah, definitely. That was a great point.
Yeah.
So I guess that's about it for our recap.
Yeah.
It was probably stuff that we missed, but those were our key takeaways. But if you have not heard or had a chance to listen to that podcast episode, was episode number 3, or if you need to just re-listen to it again, because that interview you can listen to like 5 or 6 times and get something different, probably 10 more than that, right? To get something from it. So just go to lifestrengthandhealth.com/3 or go to lifestrengthandhealth.com/podcast and type Yirser in the search box to get direct access to the show notes pages. So before we conclude this episode, let's take a minute to hear from our sponsors. Let's face it, we are living in a world set up for us not to be healthy. And with the overabundance of health information available, it's so easy to get overwhelmed and confused on which path to take, which leads to inaction and not making health a top priority. Well, that can all change. We are Life Strength and Health, the #1 center in New Jersey for helping you to detoxify and address your digestive system challenges. We provide support, accountability, guidance, education. We will be with you every step of the way to help simplify this process and help you to reach your health goals. So if you're ready to take action, if you're ready to make your health a top priority, then visit us at lifestrengthandhealth.com or give us a call at 1-800-503-7127 and book your consultation today. Don't live in the New Jersey area? Don't sweat it. We can work with you virtually. So visit us at lifestrengthandhealth.com or give us a call at 1-800-503-7127 and book your consultation or virtual consultation today.
Got a homework assignment for you. If you haven't taken yoga before, why don't you find a local yoga studio or take a yoga class at your gym. And, just try to get that experience for the first time. And if you've done yoga in the past, maybe this is the opportunity and time to start doing it again. All right?
All right. Stay healthy.
Stay healthy. Peace and blessings.
We want to say thank you for listening to the show and for access to the show notes pages, more podcast episodes, blog content, as well as more information about our center, Life Strength and Health, then just visit us at lifestrengthandhealth.com. Until next time, live healthier.